Thank you, Steve. Hi, everyone. I'm Tim Lieb, president of Regions Blue Shield, and also a Habitat for Humanity board member. I am pleased to introduce Doug Baldwin. All of you know him as a Seattle Seahawk wide receiver for 8 years and the impact he had there. Today, Doug is a strong catalyst, and he is making his mark in the social impact and what he can do for the greater good. One of the key initiatives that Doug is currently leading is Family First Community Center in Renton. Welcome, Doug.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you here. As you know, I am a huge fan of what you're doing in the community. And I'd like for you to first start with sharing a little bit to the folks in the audience what you're doing in the community today and what really drives that passion.
So 2 things that we're doing right now. Really, we set out to build a community center in the Cascade-Benson area in Renton. And it really started when I first got here back in 2011. I noticed that there was really nothing for the kids to do in that area. And I just thought, it would be a good idea to do something to leave my mark in this area and replicate something that I experienced back home, which was the community center that ended up being my second home. And so that's what we're pursuing to this date. We were supposed to break ground earlier this year. However, with everything that's going on, we've put that on hold, but we're still pushing forward. We're going to hopefully break ground here soon, and that community center will be built in 2021. It is a community center, but I think it has a much greater breadth than what a typical community center you would think of. We're going to have a full medical clinic in the community center, partnering with HealthPoint to get that done. The school district is going to have a big hand in it. We're going to have a maker space. And then obviously the recreational services. And then we're also going to provide a number of different services that both the youth and adults can use. Healthy eating classes, cooking classes, financial literacy classes. So that's a big passion of mine. Obviously, with the COVID situation, we've had to pivot. And so currently we are focused on helping larger organizations get food to smaller organizations. So we're providing delivery service for that. To answer your question, really, it's just, selfishly, it does make me feel good to be able to provide and serve the community, right? It's something that my mother had driven into me when I was younger. And so, yeah, this is just an opportunity to do that. And if I have an opportunity to serve my community while also making myself feel good in the process, I'm going to do that.
No, and we truly appreciate, and you are making such an impact, and you're leveraging the voice that you carry in this community. Do you have an example of like a family, or, when you think of locally, how you've really been able to impact a family and what drives you kind of at this local level as well?
There's a young man who I met back in 2012. His name's Nebu, and he's just an incredible young man. He came over here with his family and really kind of found a footing here in America, and just a very vibrant young man who's really just trying to find his way in this world, right? And we kind of became close during my time at the YMCA down closer to the facility, and we stay in touch to this day. And just his family and his story and his upbringing and just what he's trying to accomplish in life for his family, I think is a testimony to, a lot of people in the situation that they're facing now. They're just trying to find their way. But he has a lot of integrity, right? And he has a lot of passion for serving and giving back. And his mentality is in the right place. And so it's encouraging to see a young man come up in a world that's really chaotic in this time, but really still, staying grounded and staying fundamental to who he is and what he believes in. And so, he would call me his mentor, but in a lot of ways, he's helping mentor me through life as well.
I know it's always interesting to see how being able to impact someone's life has such an impact on yourself.
Yeah.
As you look at it, and as you know, Habitat for Humanity is focused on affordable housing and really all across Seattle and King County. In light of what's going on with COVID, what do you see, and what would you say to the audience around how they have to think differently about their role in the community with what's going on today?
My wife and I talk about this all the time. We're in a situation where I would hope that the majority of us are starting to realize that we're much more connected than we previously thought, right? We all have our subgroups. We have our, just our groups of people that we hang around, and our cultures and different things that separate us, right? That do divide us in some ways. But at the end of the day, we're all human beings, and we can all be touched by something as great of magnitude as this pandemic. And it doesn't separate us, right? And in a lot of ways, this can bring us together. And the needs that people have, they're still there. And even more so, they're exacerbated because of the situation. And it should call us all to drive more into our community, right? To be closer together. And I think everybody can say that as we're sitting here in quarantine and on a Zoom call. We would rather be in person. We would rather be together, because I believe humans are created for connection. And the fact that we have been forced to, make these critical decisions in order to preserve our humanity in a lot of ways, I hope that it drives us closer to community and realizing that we can support, we can help where we're called to do so.
So you kind of you're on the pulpit right now. What would you say to those that are out there listening on not only today for this event and donating to Habitat for Humanity, but giving back their time into the community? What message would you deliver to the audience?
I didn't write a speech, clearly. And there's so many things that I could say, and I'm just gonna be honest and speak from my heart. And I don't want it to sound sad, but the reality is that life in reality itself is sad, right? When we look at all the tragedies and all the things that are happening in our world, it is sad, right? But I also believe that in order to truly understand the depth of joy, you also have to understand the depth of your pain, the depth of your suffering, right? And that's what we see. That's what we've known. That's why we are here doing this today, is because there are people suffering. There are people who are trying to find balance in their lives, and they need help in some ways, right? And I think that, again, if we can really tap into that empathy piece of understanding that suffering as a human being, right? And really just understanding the depth of trying to find that balance, of trying to find your way, of trying to find stability, and whatever it may be, right? I would say you and I are more well off, right? But there are things in our lives that are unbalanced that we have to find stability in. And there's a challenge to that. And there's people who are facing even greater challenges, but the sentiment is still the same. And if we can tap into that empathetically and really look at our neighbor as a fellow human being just trying to survive on this planet, then what can we think of in terms of trying to help our fellow human beings survive and thrive on this planet? Again, I'm not trying to make it sad, but that's the reality of it, that life is hard. And what better way to go through life than to have somebody and have people, a group of people that you can lean on for support. And so I hope that all of us who are on this call, who are listening to this, who can be impacted and also make an impact, we'll do that. We'll find a way to support and help others, because again, we're all just trying to survive and thrive on this planet.
Listen, Doug, I want to thank you. Thank you for the time you spent today. And more importantly, thank you for everything you're doing in the community. As you know, again, I just think the world of what you're doing, and I appreciate it, and what it makes a difference. And all of us just want to say thank you.
I appreciate that. And I want to return the thank you as well. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do the things that you're doing, but you choose every day to wake up and serve our community. And that's needed, desperately needed, not only in times of a pandemic, but all times. And so I want to thank you for that as well.
Thanks, Doug. Back to you, Steve.